the Outtakes podcast. I'm Sam, and we are back to talk about all things pop culture, but in that way, it's all kind of bollocks. So, joining me this time, we've got Amelia. How's things, Amelia?
Things are lovely and sunny, so I'm great.
Things are lovely and sunny. It's been fucking boiling. It's that British summer where it's way too hot. It's the exact thing we've been asking for all year, and we all complain about it. Jacob, how have you been?
Warm. I can tell I'm a bit pink. I've got the sun reflecting in my eyes. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah, man. All right, so let's get into the news. So it's very trailer heavy since we last did this. Don't worry, there's not going to be 3 months worth of news. I've just condensed it to recent events. 2 big trailers coming out. Okay, let's dive right into it. What do we think of the Eternals?
Don't get it. What the heck is going on, bro?
It is only a teaser trailer.
It is only a teaser trailer.
Not a lot.
It's
all right.
It's one of these where, because they're like a D-list property in the comics, it's like, I would have liked to have known more, but also I'm intrigued by the mystery, you know? Yeah. I think it's definitely, it looks like filmically, I think it looks stunning. It doesn't look like a Marvel movie, you know?
That's true.
It does
look
look really
an
interesting
story, I'm all for it.
Well, so...
If it's interesting.
So to get mildly into it, and I don't want to say spoilers for Eternals because this is just conjecture. Right now, we really don't know anything about the movie. But it's said to be heavily based on an Eternals book written by Neil Gaiman, where the premise of that book was they had all forgotten that they were Eternals. And they sort of have to learn it. And I get the sense that this movie is going to be similar, that they've had some sort of amnesia, and it's not going to be like a linear storyline. Like, there will be a scene set in the modern day immediately going into a scene set in the prehistoric era or whatever, and they're all just going to naturally flow into each other, I think. Okay. So that could be interesting. And what about Last Night in Soho, the new Edgar Wright movie, assuming we've seen the trailer for this?
I think it looks interesting.
Doesn't it, though?
Interesting's definitely the right word. First watching it, I was like, this is that Edgar Wright movie, apparently. I wouldn't have guessed necessarily if you hadn't told me it was by him, that it's by him. But...
Yeah. There's some nice little stylistic things in it that I think, like, and I have to believe that this happens in the movie. I don't think you would just shoot this for the trailer, but it's the shot where she's under the covers and then she like flicks it up, and then like trailer text comes up as the camera sort of endlessly pans through this infinite bed. I don't, I have to assume that shot's going to remain in the film, and it reminds me a lot of like the flat being bigger in Scott Pilgrim than it really is for the opening credits to kind of like line up things like that. But yeah, it looks really good. And let's place bets now, right? Matt Smith, is he going to be in the final cut of this movie?
I do like that shot of it's all over Twitter at the minute, where they're dancing and then he twists her around and she flips to Anna Taylor-Joy or the other way around.
Yeah.
I can't remember that. It should be an interesting film. So let's see.
Yeah, man. No, it looks really good. And it looks like the kind of horror that I can get behind, like more psychological, less jump scare. Because I tune out on jump scare horror, but like if you're going to really play around with interesting ideas, yeah, I'm on board. So that's interesting. Not a trailer, but I did want to bring this up. Have you guys seen yet, or do you know about the plot details of the brand new Cruella movie?
No, I want to watch it. I've seen a couple of clips, and I like Emma Stone.
I'm counting this as news, right? Okay. Even though it's not really news, but it's fucking hilarious. So there's 2 big things about this movie that have stood out to everyone. One, so the movie's got 2 jobs. So one, it's got to be a Cruella solo movie, which means Cruella de Vil has to be a sympathetic character, right? And 2, it is a prequel to 101 Dalmatians, right? So these are the 2 ways they achieve this. The movie opens with a flashback to a Dalmatian killing Cruella de Vil's mum.
Oh my god, is that what that meme is about? Where it's like, it was a picture of the mum and it's like Disney Tales Chew Toy or something. Yeah,
the villain of the movie trains these Dalmatians, right? I'm going to use a phrase coined by our great mate Amber, assassination Dalmatians, to specifically target Cruella's mum's on like a balcony, and one of them jumps like right at her and pushes her purposely off a balcony. So that's why she hates Dalmatians. That makes Cruella de Vil's actions okay, I guess.
All right.
And second, it's got to be a prequel to 101 Dalmatians. So there's got to be some sort of tie-in to that movie in order to justify it. The way they've done this is Cruella gives Anita and Roger puppies from a litter, which now implies that Pongo and Perdita were brother and sister. We are retroactively adding incest. I mean, I know they're dogs, but we are still retroactively adding incest into 101
That's too
Dalmatians.
close for the the puppy to come out normal, though. That's too close.
Which is it a prequel of? The live action one or the animated one?
Neither, really.
The
More
story.
more just the story. I'd say the animated one more.
Don't they talk in one and not in the other? Do they talk in 101?
They talk in the cartoon, yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure.
I think they talk in the live action one as well.
I don't think they do. I think they just sort of nod and whimper and
do
stuff.
they? Been a long time since I've seen those films. And finally, right? This is news per an interview with Collider. J.J. Abrams dropping the bombshell on us all that we should have had a plan for Star Wars.
I've seen this bit of news.
I've not seen this one.
It's just an extended interview where someone asked him how he feels about the Star Wars sequel trilogy. And he said, it's a lesson we learned the hard way, but you really should plan for these things. I'm like, motherfucker, what do you mean?
Didn't?
What do you mean? It's a lesson we learned the hard way.
They fucked over a sequel. Like, they just completely fucked over.
Don't construct mystery boxes with no plan for what's inside them. And if you don't have any plans for what's inside them, you don't hire a guy whose storytelling philosophy is constructing mystery boxes.
Or at least leave him to clean up his own mess rather than give it to someone else to try and deal with and then have him go back on what the answers someone else. Dickheads.
Right? So that's hilarious. It's a level of ineptitude I don't think he meant to imply for himself or Lucasfilm, but it was very telling. So yeah, that's been the news. Quickly on to, if anyone's got anything that they've seen, watched, read, whatever, that they'd like to give a quick shout out and talk about. I have not, to be honest with you.
I'll tell you one.
Oh, go on, Amelia.
We watched Mitchell's versus the Machines the other day.
I have been meaning to watch this film. How is it?
We watched it and we were like, it's a kid's film that we've heard like good stuff about.
It's Lord and Miller, right?
It's genuinely hilarious. Like, we were watching it, like, it's one of those good kids films where the kids are just like, oh my god, that's funny, haha. But as an adult, you're like, oh my god, that was really dark. It honestly, watch it tonight or whenever. It's only about an hour and something long. We were genuinely in hysterics at some of the points. It is really funny. So honestly, give it a watch.
Nice.
That's good to hear.
That is good to hear. Jacob, you got anything?
I watched Point Break last night, the original one.
For the first time?
For the first time.
How did you find Point Break? I've not seen Point Break. I've seen the scene from Point Break that's in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, where he just shoots up in the air.
Yeah, where he shoots up in the air and goes,
It goes on. I didn't check the runtime, I think, before I sat down to watch it. But you keep thinking, it's going to finish here. And then they do another bit. And then, it's going to finish. And then another bit.
How long is it?
I don't know. I didn't look it up.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It just felt long, is what you're getting.
Yeah.
It just felt long. And I think it could be a prequel to John Wick. You could do that. Why not? Makes sense. But Keanu Reeves is a terrible FBI agent. He's awful. Absolutely terrible. He gets so many people killed.
Was this Keanu's first action gig, Point Break?
Yes.
I'm not sure what year it came out.
Yes. It was
would have been pre-Matrix.
Early 90s, I think. Yeah, pre-Matrix. But
how is he in that kind of role? Because obviously, I just know him as he's Bill or Ted. Shit.
one of the others. Yeah.
And then he's Neo. That's I've never seen the bridge point between those two.
It's the break point. Ooh.
Whoa. I mean, never mind. It feels like a mash of Neo and Bill or Ted. because he's kind of like trying to get in with the surfer guys. So I'm like, oh, I understand the spiritualness of it. It's dude. I'm like, oh, okay, there's that bit of that movie coming through. But then he does some running and some shooting. It's a weird mix. I don't know. It was kind of strange. And I kept thinking Patrick Swayze was Kurt Russell. But it's not, it's Patrick Swayze.
I can understand that.
But yeah.
Yeah, I can get that.
So yeah, I watched that. I finally read. I actually read a book. I read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was a film we've looked at before.
Yes.
And I find it way easier to read a book when I don't have to do the imagining. Someone's done it for me.
I get that.
So that was good. The ending is different and a little bit more abrupt, but the ending of that film was quite abrupt anyway.
There's more books though, isn't there?
Yeah, there are 4 more.
Yeah, trilogy of 4, isn't it?
Yeah, the trilogy of.
Was it 5? It's 5, yeah. Yeah, I remember. That's right, because I remember ripping it off. My GCSE English writing, literally, I had the phrase trilogy of 5 in my as my title. Just ripped off the design straight up. Yeah, well. Have you got it?
Pretty much all. I was going to say, I also watched Invincible, if anyone else has watched that.
I have not. I'm slowly being convinced to watch it.
Oh, the animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes with Zach, and then he ended up watching the rest while I was in work. He said it was good. From what I watched, it's very violent, and you don't expect it. Holy shit!
There are obvious comparisons between it and The Boys. A lot of The Boys, you feel very tense because anyone could just immediately get blown up or ripped apart. This is kind of similar, but feels less like a middle finger to the genre, more like it's doing its own thing.
Okay.
So yeah, I've covered all 3 bases there. All 3 of the mediums. I've done it.
Might do it. I don't know. I'm really hesitant with mature superhero stuff. I don't like edginess for edginess' sake. But I do keep getting recommended it.
That's understandable. This doesn't feel too much like that. The Boys definitely does.
Yeah. But the Boys to me feels just like Watchmen, but with no nuance.
We've still not even watched season 2 yet, and the fact that we're not we need to put that on now, kind of. That's I think why we've been pushing it back. Was just
I see a lot of people's takes about the Boys where they're like, it's the fucking terrible image. It's like how America sees itself, and then it's Superman, then it's how America really is, and then it's Homelander, and I'm like, yeah, that's the point. You've not discovered a secret thing here. That's the point of the show. I'm going to attempt a terrible segue, right? And it's terrible based on the fact that I might just not have the facts right because I don't know enough about the film or potential franchise. But Point Break.
Big swig.
Would you like to... I was going to just cut that for the audio version. That's going to stay in now. Took a big swig. Point Break. Do you think that would make a good sequel or reboot all these years later? Because that, ladies and gentlemen, is our big topic for this week. Long-awaited sequels, long-awaited... They did reboot Point Break. How was it? Let's start there. Have you seen it? How was it?
I've not seen it.
You've not seen it?
Not seen it.
Who was in it? Who was in Point Break?
I don't know that either. I googled it earlier on, and I didn't recognize any of the names really.
So, we'll start with that. That was a bad decision. That was a bad decision.
That's not.
If it's that unmemorable, because I genuinely didn't even know there was one. Which,
Chris, 2015.
2015.
That's quite recent.
That's very recent. Yeah. Welp. So,
doesn't look great.
Is there a review next to it, like a score? Let's get a general feel for this.
I can get the one. I'm on IMDb, so there's gonna be a score. 5.3 out of 10.
So obviously, sometimes these things don't work, and unfortunately, because I had given us a heads up that it was going to be a terrible segue because I don't know enough about Point Break. It turns out neither does the rest of us. But sometimes these things are not so great. So what I want to do is go around in a little bit of circle. We're gonna give a shout out to a movie that took a long time to come out, whether it be a sequel or a reboot. that did not work and have a little discussion of why. And I'll start us off, right? I know it's very obvious. I wouldn't be shocked if either of you had also picked this. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That was my one. Yeah.
Was my immediate go-to because it feels like a movie that has misunderstood everything about Indiana Jones. Like, it's got all the elements in there, but they're all wrong, you know?
Yeah, I get setting an Indiana Jones film in the 60s, you go, all right, what was big in the 60s? What were like the myths or the conspiracies? And yeah, it was Alien. And it was the Roswell stuff and Area 51 and Russians. So I kind of get that that's what they would want to do, but that doesn't mean that they should have done it.
No. And it's weird, isn't it? Because it's not like Indiana Jones is a franchise that hasn't had fantastic elements. The Ark of the Covenant was a box that burnt everyone's face off. There was a ghost guarding the Holy Grail, you know? Like, it's not like these elements aren't in the franchise, but it feels like Indiana Jones is an adventure franchise with supernatural elements. What it is not is a supernatural franchise or a science fiction franchise. So the ghosts and the curse of the Ark go unexplained in a way that adds to the movie. It's just this level of mythos. And, you know, Last Crusade's got some problems as well, but it's like nowhere near as bad as Crystal Skull. And I think one of the big factors is, like if you want to do aliens, you could do aliens, but they shouldn't literally look like, you know, the little green cartoon aliens with a cartoon actual UFO shaped UFO. Like, even as a kid, I was like, nah, I don't buy this.
Yeah.
No.
Which, you know, it's bad, where even as a kid you go, that's
your target demo. And while we're on it as well, I think it's today. It's either today or tomorrow as of time of recording. They're about to start shooting Indy 5.
Ooh.
Is that something we want to see?
Yeah, I think I'm back on board for it.
Why?
I'm
how
not
so?
sure.
Because I'm with Amelia.
Well, when they did, when they first rebooted Star Wars, for example, we got the prequels. Love them or hate them, their quality is debated and varying, even throughout those three films.
Yes.
Then when they rebooted Star Wars again, we got Force Awakens. At least initially, it was just Force Awakens. And generally, that was pretty well received and pretty well loved. So, hopefully, the second reboot around for a Lucasfilm property should be okay, I reckon. It's been about the similar amount of time, I think.
Yeah. Do you think they would just drop a lot of those elements? Like, I don't see them rehiring Shia LaBeouf, you know, right now.
I'd say so. I think they just need to let Harrison Ford enjoy his retirement.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
My guy just literally wants to retire.
I'll probably have a picture of him. A little picture and a photo frame on like as it will pan across like a fireplace. Like in Sean Connery.
Like in Transformers 5, there's a little picture of Shia LaBeouf pulling a silly face to acknowledge that.
with the president or
yeah,
something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon they'll do that rather than bring him back. I mean, he wasn't terrible in that. I don't remember.
The criticism, I think, of Shia at that time was just an overexposure thing. Like, he was just in a lot, pretty much.
Yeah, that's fair. So if they did bring him back, I wouldn't hate it. But yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic.
What do you think you'd want it to be?
Good. Have they said when it's set yet?
I don't think so. I don't think we know any plot details. But like, let's use that as like a blank slate. What do you think you'd want it to be?
I think I'd want it to be like, even though the war, like World War II and stuff, is even if it's in 60s, 70s, 80s time, still do Nazis, because I wouldn't say they're a classic villain, but that kind of gives them too much credit. I feel like there's a lot more you can do with that and look at how almost make it reflect modern day America as well, with how it's still an issue.
Yeah.
It's still very much, they are the bad guys. Like, it's not freedom of speech. We'll just let them have their opinion. No, they're fucking evil.
They're fucking Nazis. Yeah.
Exactly. And they do exist still now, and they still existed back then. And you could do something kind of classic in that they're after a thing, a MacGuffin, a box, or a cup to make Nazis everywhere good and strong. But I haven't given it too much thought.
Yeah, that's right. I did put you on the spot. Spot.
But yeah, I reckon still sticking with that topic, even if it's not in like the World War setting, I think would be interesting.
That's fair. Okay, well, Amelia, what was your bad example of a reboot? Or
so I went for this one just because I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad because I haven't watched it all the way through.
But maybe that's a sign that it's not so great.
Maybe. For me, I've picked it as bad just because I wasn't too keen on the casting as well, like recasting a character. So I went for my bad-ish as Mary Poppins Returns.
Okay.
Just because I think when you've got such a classic character, it's hard to replace. And I think they just went, oh, Emily Blunt's British and she can kind of sing. Let's go for her.
I get what you're saying.
Part of me was like, I love her in A Quiet Place. I think she's an amazing actress, but I don't know if, for me, she was Mary Poppins. I'm not sure.
No, I get that. I definitely felt at the time like Mary Poppins Returns. To me, it's still a absurdist concept. Like, I don't know why in 2019?
Something like that.
I've got it here.
There was a continuation of Mary Poppins. I just didn't see the demand. Like, Mary Poppins as a movie is still, well, I don't know, but at least when I was a kid, when we were kids, I presume, it's not really aged for that target demo. Like, it's wildly enjoyable for the age.
And neither is she, if we think. She goes to see the Banks kids as, like, adults, and she supposedly still looks the same as Julie Andrews does in the first one. Is she an alien?
I mean, she's got magic.
Well.
Yeah.
So...
No, I get that. It always seems as a weird choice to me to do that movie.
And I found with that film as well that Lin-Manuel Miranda feels very shoehorned into it.
He's like, oh, he did Hamilton.
He's done... Yeah, he's good in it. And they do that dancing with bikes on a roof or something. But it felt like he was in it because of who he was.
It felt like they did. You know what they did with The Force Awakens, where... it was almost like, it felt like you were watching someone's love letter to A New Hope. This one, just from what I remember, was almost like, oh, I remember everything that was really good about Mary Poppins. You've got sort of chimney sweeps, we're going with lamplighters, and we've still got that animation sequence because everyone loved that with the penguins. It's like they've just tried to take everything from that film and put it into this instead of just making it its own. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure. I don't like it when films do that. I like it when they're a bit more creative. If you want to be a sequel to something, that's fine. Just make it its own thing.
Yeah, I totally agree actually, because I think sometimes when a movie has like a gimmick that persists, I think a good example of this is, you know, those two, making a third one actually, those two Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies. The first one, which I actually think is a pretty fun movie, has that great little fight scene where Sherlock calculates how the fight's going to go in his head and what level of damage every single hit's going to go. And it's wildly entertaining. It's a great way to show Sherlock's deductive abilities in an action capacity. Great idea. Seeing it 4 more times in the sequel was completely unwarranted.
Yeah. Would you not have been disappointed if it wasn't in there, though?
I didn't need to see it because the fun to me of Sherlock Holmes, the fun to me of always has been about Sherlock Holmes, is finding new things out. It's about deduction. It's about discovery. Like the original story, A Study in Scarlet, is a great book. I read it as a teenager, not really expecting to like it, because when I was a kid, I remember seeing some of the old, like Basil Rathbone who used to play Sherlock Holmes. I saw some of those, and as a very young child, I found them a bit boring, to be honest with you. So I was a bit against the idea, and then I just took a gamble. I downloaded an app that had every single one of them on it, and I read A Study in Scarlet. And the first murder scene Sherlock encounters, they're like, It's. I mean, if you've seen the BBC television show Sherlock, you'll recognize this sequence as well. It's inverted in the BBC show. So there's some writing on a wall, and the police identify it as Rache, which is German for revenge. And Sherlock deduces that they were actually probably more likely trying to say, oh no, wait, which way is it? Oh shit, I'm getting the fucking two continuities confused. I think the police think it's saying Rachel, and then Sherlock actually says, yeah, no, it's saying revenge. It's like, ooh, piques your interest. But when he does it, he actually tells you how tall the victim must have been to be able to write that on the wall and which hand they're using. And it's all using techniques you can just use. Like when you find out how Sherlock does it, you go, shit, that makes total sense. And that's what all the great Sherlock Holmes stories are doing. It's about learning new things. So just watch him continue to do something he's already done in another film again and again and again. I don't find that very fun. That's not what Sherlock Holmes is about.
I get that.
Fair enough.
Deduce more things for me.
I want to read the books now.
They're good. They're very enjoyable.
Good.
They're fun because they're all written from the perspective of John Watson. He's your point of view character. So like Sherlock explains his deductioning reasons to Watson in a way that doesn't feel alienating to the audience because you're grounded through his perspective. It's good.
Okay.
They're really good.
I get them.
Jacob, I mean, you mentioned that I'd taken Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but do you have anything else in mind?
Well, maybe I think I'm gonna go with Ghostbusters,
2016,
and then we got that one, which I want to talk more about, but I've not actually seen it.
Have you not?
I just know that I've heard it's bad.
Okay.
And I'm not particularly intrigued to watch it.
I saw it in the cinema. So the problems with Ghostbusters 2016, it's a weird one, It's one of those where it's a good example of a movie that is not very good, but I'm scared to say it's not very good because I'm scared of attracting attention to the wrong crowd. From like misogynists that are like, yeah, fuck those women. Like, no, that's not the problem with this movie. No. So there's some legacy problems with this movie. Like, for example, all of the original cast are brought back, but they're all playing new characters for no apparent reason. Like Bill Murray. Bill Murray shows up as just some random guy that kind of knows about ghosts and then is killed within like 5 minutes of his introduction as part of a joke. It's a very strange cameo. I don't know why they did it.
Interesting.
The problem with that movie, though, it's got the legacy problem. It should have just been a passing of the torch movie. You had all the cast to do a passing of the torch movie. You didn't. That was stupid. 2, I mean, have you seen any of Paul Feig's other movies like Spy or was it called Spy or was it Spy Hard?
The one with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra
Melissa McCarthy, yeah.
No, but I can tell that they've been done by the same person.
Yeah, it's not my kind of humor, unfortunately.
Well, this is it. So there's some jokes in this. It's a straight comedy, which is fine. The original Ghostbusters is basically just a straight comedy. But the style of humor is, I'd say it's an example of throwing everything at the wall. Like, jokes reach their natural climax, and then they keep going for like 2 or 3 minutes, and you really get the sense that the movie you're watching, you could probably cut half an hour out of it and have a funnier, tighter, better movie because the jokes just keep going on. And like if you've gone at one joke and then it just keeps persisting, it just starts to get annoying. It's never going to turn you around into a full laugh. It's just, and that's kind of the problem with that movie.
Yeah, I find that sometimes with some American comedies. I'm not sure if I think it is mostly American one, where the comedy is more cringe comedy than
I'd say that.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I feel like Ghostbusters, what was it called? Just Ghostbusters. 2016 one.
Yeah.
That probably fell victim to that. I mean, I don't want to tie it directly to Melissa McCarthy, but I feel like a lot of the films she's in, that's the sort of humor she does.
Yeah.
Also, as well, there's the woman who does a lot of SNL stuff as well. She's in it, and again, I think the comedy that she's been involved in on SNL, again to a British person, I think as well, it's just not funny. We're just like, ooh, that's a bit cringe. So I think as well, her acting style is possibly very similar to Melissa McCarthy's acting style.
Fair enough. We are getting a reboot of it.
Yeah,
Afterlife.
Finn Wolfhard.
Which I'm quite excited about because it's pulling energy from like a slightly different 80s franchise. It feels a bit Goonies-esque to me, but in a good way. It's kids discovering this fantastical technology, and it just happens to be that they were related to the Ghostbusters and bring it into a new generation. I like that it's the grandchildren of Egon. I like that they're discovering, because the thing with Ghostbusters is it's a family movie. It's a kids comedy essentially. It's Ghostbusters 2 in particular. And I think the torch always should have been passed down to the next generation of children and view the Ghostbusters through them, rather than just a group of people who, I don't know. It's weird. I think the new characters in Ghostbusters 2016, they are kind of just female versions of the original characters. Like,
Yeah.
you know, but then like turn everything up to 11, you know?
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, as much as you say Ghostbusters was a kids movie, fucking creepy kids movie.
Yeah, man.
So Gordy Weevil, that was weird. Some of that stuff was never mind. But that was probably my more obvious. Reboot was bad option. The other one I was going to go with was Star Wars with the prequels again. But I rewatched Phantom Menace recently-ish, and I genuinely enjoyed it. So,
what was it that stood out to you on this rewatch as like an enjoyable?
I think it was more nostalgia than actual quality, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you know what stands out to me on rewatches of Phantom Menace?
Go on.
And I definitely think that this is going to make me sound contrarian. I really enjoy Jake Lloyd in that movie. To be honest with you, I think Jake Lloyd genuinely is the only one there that knows what movie he's in.
Ewan McGregor knows what he's doing.
What I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing. But I think everyone else thinks it's a far serious flick than what it really is. I think George asked Jake Lloyd to say yippee, and he said, right, okay, it's that sort of movie. He didn't interpret that as be joyous. He just said yippee.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, and also the dialogue for Anakin between 1 and 2 doesn't change, even though he's aged up by 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Like, some of the lines they get Hayden Christensen to say in 2, if Jake Lloyd was saying them, I'd go, oh, yep, okay,
I maintain that we didn't need to see Darth Vader that young, but I don't hate it. You know?
Yeah. I'm also quite interested by the politics by it. Now
it's good.
That I like now the politics is more, I get it, rather than when I was younger.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things I think is more interesting about Star Wars somehow, especially now that Bad Batch has been. I'm not sure if you guys have been watching that.
I've not.
A lot of it is how the Republic transitions into the Empire, and how some of the new political implementation of stuff very quickly shifts it over to the Empire. Very quickly. And that's what Phantom Menace is all about. It's just politics talk, but it's Star Wars now.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, it's funny, you know, because there was some guy in our place of work the other day saying, Star Wars, it's all brain dead, you know. And I'm like, look, if you don't like Star Wars, it's perfectly valid to not like Star Wars. I totally get it. But the idea that it's like brain dead and there's nothing there, like 3 of those movies are straight up just about how homegrown, like, fear leads into fascist regimes. Like, it's Palpatine constructs a fake war in order to motivate all this money going into militaristic operations, and he controls both sides. It's like it's smart, and it's also how this fucking works. It's you create a culture of fear within a civilian base. They give in to, nay, actively want authoritarian policies, and then the next thing you know, this madman has like full control, and all the people kind of wanted it to happen. Like, it's intelligent, it's got a point. It's no, I totally agree. I think there's a lot of value in the prequel movies from that perspective.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
I'm gonna give
which is why I chose Ghostbusters as being my bad one rather than prequels, because
I think that's a good point. And actually, leading into a good example of a reboot. Again, perfectly obvious answer, but my one totally was The Force Awakens. You know, because that movie has been negatively impacted now by the revelations of Rise of Skywalker.
All of previous Star Wars movies have been
Oh,
impacted
yeah.
by the revelations
This is-
in The Rise of Skywalker.
This is the thing. But to take myself back to 2015, to be in that cinema, to be watching a sequel to Return of the Jedi, because that's what it was, you know, like it wasn't necessarily about like, oh, well, you know, it's Revenge of the Sith and now it's Force Awakens. It was specifically about a sequel to Return of the Jedi. And in the same way that Indiana Jones had all the things but did them wrong, I think Force Awakens had all the things and did them right. Like, were the lightsaber battles as flamboyant and over the top as the prequels? No, but they were engaging, and it felt like at any moment anyone could die within them. Fan favorite characters came back, and they were real. Like you could see that they've progressed. They've moved on from where they were in Episode 6, but they were still them. And it was like, oh, it's Han Solo, it's Chewbacca, and the best feeling of all. Like, I don't know how much this might have resonated with you guys, but like for me, one of the stand-up moments of that movie, the heart of that movie to me, there's one scene, and it's where they're on the Falcon and they're going to Maz's castle. I can't remember what the planet's called.
Takodana,
Takodana.
I think.
Makes me hungry.
I play.
So,
well, because tacos.
Because tacos, yeah, it was a bad joke. So the Falcon comes into the atmosphere. Falcon comes into the atmosphere, and the music swells, and Rey looks out the window and just says, "I didn't know there was this much green in the whole galaxy," and you know, and Han considers her life and how she's been stuck, and you see this kind of parental desire to like, I don't want to admit it, but I have to look after this girl, and you know, and I had all these adventures when I was young, and I want to pass that on. And I remember seeing that scene in the cinema the first time and going, "Fucking Star Wars, man!" You know? This is what it's all about.
It could have been a really good setup movie.
Yeah, well,
yeah, it could have been that good segue into.
I loved all the characters. I loved theoretically where they all could go. I loved thinking about it. It wasn't just because of the mystery box nature compelled me to consider. I was like, I love these characters. I can't wait to see how they progress. And yeah, like I said, it's tainted now. But it's and a lot of people made the complaint that it does base too much on A New Hope, and I do agree. But I think it was the exact movie it needed to be in 2015.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Fair. Okay. Amelia, what's your positive one?
So my positive one, I'm stuck between two. Just because these are reboots, right?
Or sequels.
Like reboots or sequels, yeah. Okay. Both of them are reboots. The first one I didn't realise was a reboot, but that's just because the film is from the 60s or 70s, probably, or that. My first one is The Great Gatsby, partly because I am reading the book at the minute. And I've thought back to that film and I was just like, that film is just absolutely crazy. And the other one, which I'm just mentioning in passing because I know you guys wouldn't have seen it, is the new version of Emma that released with Anna Taylor-Joy. It's a very good film, like if you like that kind of a thing, if you like your Jane Austen programs, but if you're not, I guess it's quite boring, but from our point of view, it's a fun take on it. But The Great Gatsby, I assumed you might have seen through watching like it in English or something. But that was my kind of like, oh, that's actually quite good. I didn't mind that as a film. Like stylistically, it's pretty random and out there, but I think it's quite close to what the 1920s madness could have been like. I don't know, a lot of like the valley and the ashes and all that. I don't know. Yeah, that's my kind of like, oh, that's quite good, wasn't it?
It's one of those things, Great Gatsby, that I just have no interaction with whatsoever. Like, I've seen like screenshots of it. It looks very pretty. Mm-hmm. Like, it looks very. What's the word? It's like I guess. The only word that's coming to my head is posh. That's not what I mean. But you know what I mean? Like, it's glamour. I look at it and it's glamour.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know anything about
the
it.
Black Eyed Peas did the music. Like
They what? They what?
Yeah, and they did some of the music for it. Listen, go and have a look at the album. It's mad. Obviously, Lana Del Rey did a song from it as well. The soundtrack is very like 2010s. Let's put it that way. But if you watch it, the special effects.
What I'm picturing.
I don't even know how you explain it. The
Carey
word that
Mulligan in like a tiara and like a dress, and there's all these golden lights around her, and people are drinking wine. Waiters are offering up. I don't even know what an hors d'oeuvre is, but they're offering it up. And in the background, all you're going to hear is, I want to scream and shout and let it all out.
I mean, you're not far off. It's her in very glam 1920s clothing, except it's, like, say, Black Eyed Peas songs, but with more of a kind of 1920s tune to it. It's so weird. There's a bit in the book where, like, he's taken the guy, Peter Parker,
Andrew
Tobey
Garfield.
Maguire. He
Tobey
gets
Maguire.
sent off with the husband. Tobey Maguire, sorry. And he goes away with one of the maids, and they get drunk, and the song is "A Little Party Never Kills Nobody" and all that. And I'm just watching it like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it's so random, but it's a really fun film. So if that didn't sell it for you,
No, yeah, it absolutely did. What a wild time. but would you say that, like, it's, as a reboot, it modernizes it in the right way, or it still stays true to the original? Like, would you say like the modern elements don't hinder it? It's like a good, it's a positive addition.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I, you know how that Bridgerton came out and it was really gaudy, whatever the word is, like, kind of. I don't know how you'd explain that style, but sort of, it's old-fashioned, but it's got hints of, like, it's got a modern twist to it, so that, like, it's not so historical that it's boring and dull. Compared, only, like I say, I'm reading the book, so I was just kind of Googling clips of the film just as I read a chapter to be like, oh yeah, that's really similar. And I got recommended clips of a film. Like I say, I'm not sure how old it was, but it was old. And when you look at the two, the older one is like you'd say, is very boring and very sort of, oh yes, would you like an hors d'oeuvre? Whereas this one's like, yeah, do you want an hors d'oeuvre? Like, it's so weird. Like, so as a reboot from that point of view, I think this one's probably more enjoyable to watch than the older one.
Fair. Last up, Jacob, what's your offering for a good reboot, a good sequel? That took a long time to get to.
I think I'm gonna go with Mad Max Fury Road.
That's a good choice, man.
Nice.
I mean, I watched that one first, and it was just driving and a man on electric guitar and flamethrowers and jumping on cars and the desert. Amazing, absolutely loved it. And then I watched the first Mad Max, and it was such like a okay, this is okay, this is not what I thought.
Yeah,
but maybe I guess I need to watch 2 and 3 to see like the.
Yeah, Fury Road is a lot more. Well, I mean, three's not a good movie. Has 3's not a good movie. Beyond Thunderdome is not a good movie. It's got Tina Turner in it. It's a weird film. 2, Road Warrior, is a lot more like Fury Road. It feels essentially Fury Road because the first one, it's very clear it doesn't have a huge budget or a fully realized world, or you know what I mean. Like, it's just playing around with ideas. Road Warrior Mad Max 2 is like it's what you think of when you think of Mad Max, and I think where Fury Road succeeds is that Fury Road is the movie George Miller would have made back in the day if he'd have had the money and the technology.
Yeah,
I can see that.
It's like what he always wanted Mad Max to be, and now reality has finally allowed him to showcase that vision. You know? Yeah.
I don't get the people who watch it in black and white.
No.
Because there's that chrome edition.
No.
Come on, man! That fire is gorgeous. It's beautiful, and it's orange. I guess all of it's orange, so maybe black and white wouldn't be too bad.
It's a desert, though. It's a desert. It's supposed to look hot and
dudes swinging on poles in black and white. I just feel like would be so much.
Do you know what? Right, minor fucking thing here. I don't get the obsession with watching color movies in black and white. Producing a new film in black and white, I can get that. If you've got a stylistic choice to do it, fine, right? You know what? The Logan Noir or whatever, fuck off. Stop being so pretentious. Like, this was a good movie. It's really added nothing. Justice League, Justice's Grey edition. I'm not watching that movie. I did it. I did
regular Justice League.
I did it once, Zach. I'm not doing it again.
Mank makes sense because it's meant to be set in an olden time.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It's the
I don't
one
think I've
about
seen
the guy who wrote Citizen Kane. It's on Netflix.
Maybe I'll check it out.
Like it's a fine technique, but like, yeah, Mad Max, I don't get it. It's Mad Max.
Come on. But yeah, I think that I loved the bonkers action in that, and even though there was basically no story of let's drive to this place, let's drive back. What was it? That's all you need. It just was.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Well, I mean that comes from because George Miller's thing with Mad Max for a long time has been you should be able to watch it without the sound turned on and still understand the movie.
Fair enough.
Like he's I think he's always said that he's designed them to be kind of like drive-in movies, you know, where you know you could just have you could be quite far back, you could have your car windows, you know, up for some reason. I don't know why you do that at a drive-in movie. You might be necking on with someone, and then you can look over and you can still know what's going on, you know, in the movie. And I think that comes
That's
through.
incredible.
It's I'm not, you know, like people do great work with audio design in films, but it is predominantly visual medium. So I think restricting yourself to that, like, and yeah, you have to produce a simpler story, but so what? Like, that's a limitation as well. It's make that simple story entertaining. I think George Miller does a really good job with that.
Yeah, the other one that I was contemplating, I think probably would have been Joe's choice, was Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, I was actually quite shocked to not have you pick that, Amelia. I thought you were going to pick Blade Runner 2049.
I thought someone else was.
Yeah,
This is fair. So I've still not seen 2049, to be honest with you. But what I have seen, I completely get why people dig it.
Yeah.
I think the thing that's remained consistent throughout all these quality picks is a semblance of authenticity to the original.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a replication, even though they sometimes carry those parts, but just like, that's why I brought up that scene from The Force Awakens, because it wasn't fucking Starkiller just being another Death Star. It wasn't seeing lightsabers again or R2 or whatever. It was like that sense of a galactic adventure. Like, to me, that scene where Rey does that is exactly the same tonally as the binary sunset in A New Hope. In that movie, you get it without dialogue. You know, you just get it through the music and through the way Luke looks out there. But it's the same idea, and that comes through. That's not a direct copy, but you got the feeling right. And I think it's the same for Fury Road. I can't comment on The Great Gatsby, but you're telling me that it's authentic.
That's fine.
Remember when they did the binary sunsets again in The Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah. Yeah,
with BB-8 there for some reason.
Yeah.
Just stole Poe Dameron's droid.
And she fucking did. Everyone just forgot that was Poe's droid. Oh my god, that movie. Yeah, I think that's what makes it. I think everything that's failed has misunderstood what makes the originals great. And I think everything that's great has a love for it and a desire to recapture that love, reproduce that love, without necessarily copying. So I don't know, is this we putting this out as like a PSA, like an advice? Heads up, Hollywood. If you want to make a good reboot. I think no matter what we picked there, I think that's probably the same consensus we would have reached. Should be true.
We all said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
That, like I said earlier, if you make a sequel or a reboot, it's fine to honor the original, but make it original in its own way.
Yeah. It's one of my big problems right now about the hyper fixation and nostalgia within the film and TV industry is actually that in another 10, 20 years, you should be referencing the things that are coming out now. But very few of those things are actually going out of their way to establish new iconography that would be worth referencing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's a good sentence.
It's all looking back.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Copyright that one.
It's going to be one of my quotes in 100 years when people are studying me for some terrible reason. They're going to be able to put that one down. Okay. Well, I thought that was good. I thought it was a good discussion, a good consensus reach. That was a productive episode. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know some of your favorite long-awaited sequels, reboots in the comments down below, and whether or not you think they were good, and if you agree with us in the first place. And watching us on YouTube, consider hitting that subscribe button, share with your friends the show, and hitting that like button as well. And if you've been listening to us on your favorite podcasting apps, hit that follow button as well. And if you can leave us a rating, that would be rad. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.